Hello and welcome to the Veneto Club for this round 14 fixture of the NPL Victoria Women's Competition between the Bulleen Lions and the Boroondara Eagles. It's both sides looking to get back on the winning ways after coming off a loss last weekend. Bulleen lost on Monday evening, 3-1 to Heidelberg, and Boroondara off a 4-3 loss to Alamein over last weekend. And it is the Ven Derby. We've had that already this season. Bulleen looking to do the double. And they'll have to do it without star midfielder Paige Joyce, who is unavailable due to a knee injury. But I'll go through the starting lineups for this afternoon's contest. In goals, number 1 for Bulleen Lions, Erin Hudson. Number 2, Liam Aldeary. Number 5, Jessica Young. Number 6, Isabel DeHarkis. Number 8, Alana Byrne. Number 11, Aroha Little. Number 12, Mila Bullich. Number 16, Caitlin O'Brien. Number 17, Maya Markovsky. Number 21, Rosie Roger. Number 22, Alana Cordolino. And for Boroondara, they line up as follows in goals. Number 25, Malay Siketa. Number 3, Analia Kopoulos. Number 5, Alan Turner. Number 6, Rosie Curtis. Number 7, Anais Jasevsky. Number 8, Venetia Lim. Number 9, Gabby Holler. Number 10, Hayley Gertz. Number 13, Zoe Bennett. Number 17, Emily Rutkowski. And number 19, Correa Aquino. And we are underway for this round 14 fixture. He's immediately going out for a throw-in. Inside to Markovsky. Beats one. Plays it forwards. Cordolino. He's out in a little bit of space. Got options in the middle. Looks up and tries to play it along the ground, but it's out for the first corner of the game. And it looks like it will be Jess Young who takes this corner. Young in the near post and just palmed out by Siketa. I will be soon joined in the commentary booth by Lockie Flanagan as he sets up. We're not going to blame Lockie. We're not going to ask why Lockie is not on the call immediately, but Lockie will be joining the call eventually. And it'll be a second corner here for Bulleen. Young to take once again. High delivery to the near post. Siketa can't get it the first time and then bundled in by Byrne. And there is the opening goal of this contest, and Bulleen didn't have to wait long. Siketa didn't deal with that corner well and then palmed it straight into the path of Alana Byrne, who was waiting, and tapped it right into the back of the net. And that's exactly how you start a game as you look to get back to winning ways. And we up to Boroondara. How can they respond after that setback? Van Doren to Leah Kopoulos. Beats one. Rutkowski. Got Muldeary around the back and then cleared away by Bullich. Turner, the throw in, into Holler, does well to turn, can't turn into a little bit of space, so it will be a goal kick. Done well, Markovsky, looks ready to go. Young cuts inside, a little bit of space. Roger Now on the edge of the box, Turner needs to get rid of it quickly. Finds Holler, but can't get it away. Muldeary. Bullich. Harkis, long ball forward into the path of Markowski, beats everyone, and then cleared long by Gertz, but only as far as Byrne. It's going to get another chance at it, Bulleen. Markowski. And gone slightly early was Caitlin O'Brien. It's exactly the start that you're after. Get that early goal. Force Boroondara to chase. Keno. Find Curtis. They're doing a header challenge here, Bulleen, and once again, slightly offside. It's a fantastic time to bring in our commentator this afternoon, Lockie Flanagan. Lockie, big game this afternoon between these two sides. How do you think it's going to pan out?
Well, I'm hoping, Picua, thank you for welcoming me in. I mean, I guess the next best time after kick-off is now. But a clash between the league leaders and by far and away, for the most part, up until the last couple of weeks, the most fearsome team in the league up against probably the great entertainers of the competition in Boroondara. So I'm hoping that the start that we've had so far, which is Alana Byrne opening the scoring in a matter of minutes, sets the tone for a bit of a goal fest, because that's pretty much what Boroondara have been doing since they entered the top flight.
Goals is never something they lack, that's for sure, Lockie.
No, certainly not, and particularly not in the last few weeks. I mean, you don't find many teams in Victorian football that have back-to-back 4-3 results. Far less teams that have back-to-back 4-3 defeats, but that is the situation that Boroondara Eagles find themselves in, and have to be careful not to concede a couple of more today. They really need to get back into this game fairly quickly, because you don't want to be swept away by this Bulleen side.
Certainly don't want to. This Byrne is relatively deep. It will be interesting to see how this game plays out, particularly Bulleen, a side that loves to have possession, and Boroondara ultimately, when they are at their best, as Markowski tries to chase that down, but easily collected by Saketa. Boroondara, a side that operate best on the counter, so this is a game that, even though they'll be pinned back for a large portion of it, they will feel that if they do get a chance to break, that is their best route to goal.
Yeah, and I mean, the last thing you want if you are a team who like to transition is get yourself in a situation where Bulleen, a team who themselves are very good at transition, you have to defend against them as Hudson switched off her line to repel the danger. To the stretch, Anisha Ling keeps it alive for Boroondara, who have been on the back foot so far, but Rakowski looking to flip the script for the nominal visitors today. It's a very short trip from the usual home over at Carey. Play from Portolino. Well, Rosie Roger was fully committed, but I think she'll be the first of which, not the biggest midfield, so that one sees her come off second best here.
She's certainly a tenacious player, Rosie Roger. Can't ever question her heart in this contest. An interesting selection from Caitlin Friend this afternoon. Lourdes Gonzalez, who's on the bench this afternoon, didn't have a great game against Heidelberg on Monday. And in comes Rosie Roger. Gonzalez has been a regular part of this side for a large portion of this season, and she's been really good. So, change up in the starting lineup this afternoon.
Yeah, well, they've actually, you mentioned the big blow for Bulleen from last week, which was no Paige Joyce, but those injuries are, or absentees, I should say, are starting to mount. More on that in a second. There was Analia Coppolis, who's forced to concede the corner. Nice done run. Caitlin O'Brien, who opened her NPLW account last week in a 3-1 defeat for
That's all good. Show. Much better. The action here. Markowski can test. They're better, right? Losing their own shirts over there. They're forwards. So they'll have a second front kick. To the right. That's the shot off. Yep. No worries. All good. All good. Perhaps a half-hearted, but still necessary to cover the bases. And then towards the ball, Sakenta.
Bulleen going forward, they are on the side that likes to have possession, but it's fine. They're on the side in front of Markowski. Beautiful turn away. Gets one to slide, cuts back inside. Markowski with the left and a beautiful finish from there. Markowski took it by herself, and that is a sign of the form that she's been all season. Fantastic finish, and now Bulleen up 2 goals early in this contest.
Boroondara in a bit of a hole in the early knockings of this game, but to assign that goal to Susan that must be the kind of goal that she didn't necessarily make in that later over the course of the season.
FX is in channel 2. Commentator is channel 2. And FX 1. And then I change it to input 1.
A tough sort of couple of years. Markowski obviously. Victory. She was hard to play to be a good thing to say, but definitely the mainstay around the squad. Player. No doubt.
Troubles with injury too. Beneficiary of consistent games. There's Portolino going to hit the roadblock of Venetia Lim. Singaporean international who's well into the debut season of NPLW. Markowski, who attempted to drop it down to Portolino, but Alan Turner will be happy to watch that one over the line. It's a tricky position, Akua, that Boroondara find themselves in. We know that they can score in
a really nice one from Liam, and a great save to match by Hudson.
The woman just said
scored twice the last time
met in what was a 4-2 win for Bulleen Lions here at the Veneto Club. Entertaining fixture. This one is proving a bit more of a challenge for Boroondara. That's a response from Yusevsky that will give them a bit of confidence, but more defending to do here as O'Brien streams forward down the left, and the ground just gives way beneath her feet. That allows Leah Coppolis to send it back from whence it came. But do you have confidence, Bakua, that they do have the capacity for scoring a lot of goals, but this Bulleen side have been elite, to say the least, at keeping shutouts. I think it's 7 clean sheets this season. I mean, 12 goals conceded all told. A quarter of that was last week against Heidelberg. It's a tough task ahead of the Eagles.
When you're looking at a side like Boroondara, I think they certainly have the capabilities to beat any side in this competition. I think their game plan, I would imagine from John Kyrgios starting this game, would have been to just allow the game to settle and, go as long as possible without conceding, because Bulleen on the front foot are a really difficult team to break down, and particularly with the fact they're going to have a large portion of the possession in this game, it's going to be really, really difficult, and it's going to put a lot more pressure on the likes of Holler and Akin.
Not insignificant feat of keeping Bulleen out at the other end if they are going to turn this game back into a level fixture. It's been a bit of a weak point for them, Boroondara. That's why they have so many high-scoring fixtures. Yes, they can score a fair few goals, but also concede a fair few. The most amount of goals outside the sides in the bottom 3 is Boroondara Eagles. Aquino looking to change that. She can hit them from range, decides to distribute to Holler. It's a good block. But for the first time, we're saying that this season by Isabel DeHarkis. Curtis. And that's the challenge of Jessica Young. This is a better spell, though, from Boroondara. Perhaps by Bulleen's own making. Happy to let them have the ball and pick them off, as they've done here through Byrne, the opening goal scorer. Eventually they did get the decision in their favour. So by today's referee, Angelique Magin. I've got the stoppage in play before. I'm going to ask you the burning question that's been sitting on my brain for the last sort of 24 hours going into this game. Obviously, we've got 2 of the best strikers in the league here today, with Maya Markowski and Gabby Holler as well. Fearsome strikers in the competition. She still is. She made her return back from A women's duties with Melbourne Victory. Only a handful of goals since returning. Set the bar very high last year with 31. Bulleen will be very wise to the danger and the threat that she poses. Deary will watch this one into the corner and see over the line for a harmless goal kick.
And so Hudson will take the goal kick as we tick past the 18th minute mark here at the Veneto Club. It is FC Bulleen Lions who are sitting pretty, a 2-0 lead. The second of those scorers being the player on the ball seconds ago, Maya Markowski, extending the advantage after Alana Burns scored in the opening few seconds. Great interception by DeHarkis, and the spillage falls kindly to Young, who can feed Caitlin O'Brien with a line-breaking pass. Really great ball, and they have their tails up. Bulleen, the cross into the middle, though, is easy pickings for Mally Saketa, but Alana Cordolino, with 5 goals to her name this season, was just lingering, a threatening presence on the right-hand side of that Bulleen attack. And I can ask you my burning question now, Pakura. We've been waiting. Two of the best strikers here today. Well, obviously, you could argue Correa Aquino is obviously in there too, but on form of this season, Maya Markovski, 10 for the year, Gabby Holler, 13. Now, we have seen the sort of increasing talent drain recently of A-League women's players to the USL, and that's maybe going to open a few extra spots up for the players who maybe have either fallen out of the A-League system or are looking to break in through the NPLW. Can't help but notice that out at Western United, there is a big number 9 shaped hole at the moment with Hannah Keen's departure to the USL. My question is, are we looking today at either side of the pitch at a future Western United number 9? Because obviously, Gabby Holler, who's on the ball here, similar pathway, American striker, come to NPLW, scoring goals for fun. And commentators cursed her a little bit there, but Markovski, obviously formerly in the A-League system, looking to get back in, and she's had a very solid season too. I don't know, maybe that's a harebrained theme on my part, but if you have another suggestion, you're welcome to it. But I just wonder whether we'd see either of those filling that Hannah Keen void next year, potentially.
I don't know necessarily like if they're going to be wearing the green and black for Western United in the A-League Women's. However, I do think that A-League sides certainly should be looking at the likes of Gabby Holler and Maya Markovski. I think they provide a lot, particularly with Markovski's development this season. I think that shows a lot of promise for a player who's willing to adapt after a setback. You know, you have to say that maybe actually going into the A-League, dropping out of the A-League necessarily isn't a setback. It's, you know, actually a couple of steps forward because it allowed Markovski to work on her game. But I think that she certainly, with the development this season, could get back into the A-League Women's. And I think Holler as well, because I think she provides a different type of striker. She can hold the play up really well herself, and she's also a really good facilitator, able to play off other teammates. So Western United would certainly do well to have either of those two sides. Don't necessarily think they can fill the gaps of Hannah Keen, a golden boot winner in the competition, and Hannah Keen maybe has a few more Champions League appearances than either Markovski or Holler, but I think with the performances they've had this season in the NPL, I think they'll be getting a look in, and certainly a few phone calls will be had.
No, I wasn't suggesting a direct replacement, more feeling that potentially going somewhere to filling that number 9 void. But, you know, I had the privilege of commentating Boroondara's opening game of the season when Gabby Holler was on the score sheet twice on her debut, so maybe I'm just sort of barracking for my own yarn because I made that perhaps lazy comparison to Hannah Keen in round 1, and I'm still hoping that if she's backed up that early opening round promise with a bundle of goals since, that I can speak it into existence. I mean, 10 goals in her last 6 games. It's a ridiculous form line.
It really is, and she's been fantastic and one of the breakouts. And you've got to give a lot of credit to Boroondara and their recruitment, because the ability to find another player, once again, like they found Correa Aquino, I think you've got to give a lot of props to sides that are able to constantly develop their squads and adapt, as that header's played dangerously into the box but easily collected by Hudson. You've got to give a lot of credit to the staff at Boroondara for doing that. I think the only issue, I guess, for Gabby Holler, and, you know, unfortunately for players who aren't Australian, it's that visa spot. And will Western United want to use a visa spot on an NPL talent? You know, Melbourne Victory used it with Correa Aquino last season, but it's a big, for such an important position, you've really got to pick the right player, and I think it's a little bit easier maybe for Markovski not taking up a visa spot. That ball is loose in the middle of the park.
Yeah, it's a good point, because while you can draw that comparison to Hannah Keen, you're absolutely right when you raise the fact that obviously it wasn't straight from Alamein to the A-League Women's. There was some stints across Europe and the Champions League throughout that. It did take a while for her to eventually come back, and it took an NPLW, or a coach who was forged in the fires of NPLW, in Mark Torcaso, to actually be prepared to take that punt. Pakura has just alerted me to the fact that we were talking about the absence of Yuka Sato in this side at the moment. She's currently on ground marshal duties this afternoon, so no rest for the wicked, I suppose. We've got a bit of a injury stoppage here, though, for the marshals to watch over as Venetia Lim receives a bit of treatment. It's going to give Boroondara a chance to get into a bit of a huddle. Of course, haven't quite recaptured the heights of last season where they went so close to shocking the world in their debut campaign of NPLW football. Currently sitting 7th on the ladder going into round 14. Still within a touching distance of the finals places, but definitely remaining alive. Yeah, the sophomore year has proved a bit trickier, as it looks as though Venetia Lim might actually see her day come to an end here in place of a substitute. I think Madison Van Doren is the player who is begging her way onto the field. Well, that's a disappointing end to the day for Venetia Lim. We know she provides a lot of energy and quality in the centre of midfield for Boroondara. And just waiting to... There was a bit of a hesitation for a brief moment to see whether that substitution would actually come through, but Miles Sagazi, the 4th official, has the board raised, and Van Doren, who no stranger to playing here at the Veneto Club, having previously been here with the likes of Box Hill United in years gone by, and of course with Boroondara too, is going to have an early introduction to this game.
An interesting substitution there from John Kyrgios. Bringing on Van Doren, who's traditionally centre-back, in replacement of Venetia Lim, who is playing as the 6th, that holding midfielder. So interesting to see who goes into that spot for Lim, because she was essentially protecting that the back line.
Well, something that was notable in the starting lineups is we almost saw Boroondara captain Hayley Gertz sitting alongside Analia Kopoulos as that centre-back, so I think she's going to maybe drop into midfield, and that allows them to put Van Doren in the heart of defence. Centre-back's been an interesting position to watch so far in this game, because obviously Dahakis is a very gifted, technical central defender, and sometimes she'll swap and rotate with Alana Byrne. She comes out of position, as that's watched over the line by Analia Kopoulos. No such movement out of central defence for her, but they're not afraid to do that little switcheroo if Dahakis decides to push on. I don't know whether Van Doren and Gertz are going to try and do the same, but perhaps they have it in the locker. Siketa gets us back underway. Boroondara, if nothing else, have done well to stem the bleeding that was the opening 5 to 10 minutes of this contest. Moldiri feeds Markovsky, a really nice ball. Good play all round as Markovsky drives into the box. It's poked across the face, and Aquino will happily gobble up the scraps. No Bulleen players near the ball. A sign of great relief for John Kyrgios. Not much in the way of support down the left-hand side for Rutkowski. And so she decided to go it all alone in Hudson and dive down to claim the loose ball. But that was a better play, even if it wasn't a cohesive team move from Boroondara.
A couple of times now that we've seen when Boroondara have been able to get forward, Emily Rutkowski able to get past Liam Moldiri and find a little pocket of space. That ball's played into the middle. And then Roger with the F, and a good save from Siketa. Had to be quick to the ground. But Liam Moldiri's been beaten a few times, so if they can get her Rutkowski past Moldiri and get some runners in the middle, I think that's going to be one potential route to goal for Boroondara.
And they got out of jail a little bit there. Rosie Rogers shot towards Melise Siketa, lacking conviction. A booming switch from Aquino, but that's going to be initially easy pickings for Araha Little. Gertz loses out to Young in the air, and here is Rosie Roger being urged on by the home crowd and supplies Markovski really nicely with an incisive pass. Markovski is going to glide by Van der Ende. Will she go for glory herself or look to turn provider for a teammate? It's back to Roger, an elongated returning of the favour, as now Maldiri on the overlap. And that's an unkind deflection for Leah Maldiri. And I couldn't help but notice, Pakua, in the aftermath of what is now a goal kick for Boroondara, that Maya Markovski just casted her head towards the heavens. I think she might have gone about her business a bit differently if she had another chance at that attacking drive.
Just slightly overcomplicated it for herself. I think once she'd gone past one, she's going to cut back inside and then another shot on goal. But really positive performance from her so far, and really aggressive on the front foot, and that's exactly what you want to see from your strikers. But overall from Bulleen, they've looked really calm going forward, and with that 2-goal buffer, they're just able to try a few more things and be a little bit more daring.
Dahakis. Aquino trying to hem in the American, but the ball is forward to Cordellino, who has swapped wings with Caitlin O'Brien. So Caitlin Friend just moving the magnets a little bit, trying to continue to give this Boroondara defence, which, well, their run of games without a clean sheet will continue. They have only kept one this season. Holla, hauled down by Alana Byrne. And the crowd says that should be a yellow, and it is a yellow. And, I don't know if professional foul is the term to use there. Certainly no disguising of intent from Alana Byrne on that occasion.
Felt like I was watching WWE. It was like when the Big Show lifted up Rey Mysterio and just flung him across. But that's what that felt like. That felt like a very harsh foul. That's what you should not be doing in football.
Well, they do have a boxing ring here at the Veneto Club, and that sort of stuff was better saved for that location. Dahaka saw glancing it towards goal. Good thing that Erin Hudson, I should say, was alert. And Young streaming through midfield. Holler tracking back. Cordellino will drive at Ellen Turner and get the beating of Ellen Turner on the first time, but not the second time of asking. Continuing to live life a little dangerously here, Boroondara. Markovski couldn't quite trap it. There was a fair oomph through the back of Bulleen's number 17. No whistle from the referee, so Boroondara taking possession back as we get into the final 15 minutes of the first half. They've had more joy snuffing out Bulleen's attacks, but not quite as much constructing some of their own. Good attacking players in that front three, but hasn't quite been able to make them all click together today as yet. Easy pickings for Leah Maldiri, who takes the ball in stride. And O'Brien provides the run near side. Maldiri doesn't need it. Markovski is given the ball to feet. And some dancing feet from her into the path of O'Brien. The first time cross over the head of Maldiri. And Boroondara, well, can't clear their lines. Now they can. O'Brien, fortunately for the Boroondara defence, just came in a little bit too enthusiastically. Or, in fact, it's actually Caitlin O'Brien who is the infringed party on this occasion. So Bulleen Lions have got a free kick in a position of considerable promise on the left-hand side. And interesting debate here as to, well, it was a debate between Dahakis and Markovski. It isn't anymore.
It's not a debate, and, you know, captain gets it But I feel like Bulleen are just having a lot of fun out there. These passes, they're getting a little bit more ambitious, to say the least, in these runs, playing with a lot of confidence this side.
The captain's call is, "I'll take the free kick, thank you very much." It's a tough one to go direct for a right footer, so DeHarkis will swing it into the box, but it's repelled at the first time of asking by Correa Aquino. And dare I say, defending penalty box headers as opposed to attacking them is not the job that Correa Aquino wants to be doing on her Saturday afternoon. That has been the nature of the contest so far. And after a barren couple of weeks, Caitlin Friend's side have responded very solidly so far. Is there anything specific you put that little slump down to? Because really, Bulleen, for large parts of this season, they've been imperious. I mean, other than those 2 games, they've kept 7 clean sheets, 6 of them in a row, and they've only lost 3 games of a possible 13 this season. They've won all the others. I believe they're the only team not to have been held to a draw just yet. Well, what was the reason why? Is it just that they've played some good sides? I mean, they came up against a Royals team who are almost having a Boroondara-style season in many respects.
I think, Lockie, when you look at a side like Bulleen, they've had kind of similar issues at certain points for the last few seasons, and I would venture to say that the sides they've lost to this season are Essendon Royals twice, and they've lost to Heidelberg, and particularly in those Essendon Royals games, they're sides that are really good defensively and were really difficult to break down. They're very disciplined, and they don't allow Bulleen as much space as possible. And Heidelberg did a really great job on Monday night of that ball's flicked forward, and DeHarkis getting pulled back by Aquino, and that foul is going to be called. But Heidelberg did a really great job of shutting down the middle of the park and making Bulleen play through the width of the park, and that was... You know, they can do that with Cortolino and things like that, but that's not the way they typically want to play. And I think for Bulleen, the reason those losses have come is they face sides that are perfect against their weakness, which is playing through sides, and something they have to get better at if they want to get over that hump and win everything this season.
It's a great point. One thing that has been a continued theme of Caitlin Friend's Bulleen side is that difficulty of breaking down disciplined teams in possession. A side that love to play on the counter-attack, and certainly enjoying the chance to do that with a 2-goal buffer to work with today. They've always had a good, I think, steely resolve in the centre of defence, and their penchant for signing the best possible American central defender over the years has always helped them with that. But DeHarkis, the sort of, I guess, Katie Beck, Kayla Morrison, following that sort of American central defender lineage. Yeah, no, it's a solid stack. It should be mentioned that the 11 across the park is a fairly star-studded one, and that today, Pakua, extends to the bench, where fascinatingly we have a returning familiar face for Bulleen Lions, and one that will, I think, put a smile on the face of some Melbourne Victory A-League women fans as well. But we might come back to that in a second, as Erin Hudson is sailing against the artificial turf to pick up the loose ball. It's not a glamorous job, but one that needed to be done. Second ball drops into the lap of Rutkowski. And they might be out here through Young and Araha Little. Short for Byrne, whose pass to Markovski was a bit hot to handle. That was an askew clearance from DeHarkis, but it worked out perfectly. Luck's a fortune for Bulleen Lions as Cortolino gets on the drive. Markovski returning the favour. Cortolino, a good save at point-blank range by Saketa to deny the youngster a 6th goal of the season. That's the worry for Boroondara, is that while they may be able to be solid and stout, while Bulleen have elongated phases of play. Once they get out and they can start to attack that space in behind you, you're in serious trouble. And I'll give you a chance to, Pakua, to go back to that mystery returnee we were talking about before too. Maybe after the corner, as Jessica Young sets her sights for the penalty area. Not much wind today, and it's in towards DeHarkis. She lost the ball in flight. Correa Aquino. That opened the window of opportunity for her to launch the ball back towards her goal. Confident claim from Araha Little. Any contact was good contact in that situation. Not quite the same case for Hayley Gertz. Interception by Van Doren. And Holla with a firing switch. The great idea, but the execution just a hair off. But you can see Correa Aquino appreciated the idea. I feel like we're playing a really poor game of Guess Who here, Pakua. Who is the mystery Bulleen Lions player?
We do see the return of Tiff Eliadis back from Portugal, I believe, is where she was last playing. Obviously played for Melbourne Victory in the season before that and has been with Bulleen for quite a long time. So it's good to have her return for this Bulleen side, particularly with Paige Zoyce out, as you mentioned, Lockie. And the benefit of somebody player like Tiff Eliadis, obviously a fantastic goal scorer in this competition in the past, but you know, as her career has progressed, she's become a really versatile player who's, you've seen her at times play defensively, play her in the midfield, and then play her up top. And I think that's going to allow and give Caitlin Friend some options. You know, if this injury crisis continues, having a player of experience like Eliadis, that ball's played through the middle and Van Doren gets a boot to it.
Very exciting returnee. I mean, with an, frankly, for a player who is a sort of person for all seasons in terms of her ability to play anywhere across the park, it's a crazy goal record for someone who has had to fulfill so many different roles. 49 goals in 103 NPLW games as Markovski cuts it square, but no Bulleen players waiting. But Young gets the shot off and scores beautifully. A great goal from Jessica Young. And it's 3 inside the first half for FC Bulleen Lions. That one may be a challenger for pick of the bunch alongside Markovski's second.
A beautiful finish from Jess Young, who's having a really good season in the NPL this year. Coming off the bench at times, starting, but when she's been called upon, she's been really good, and that was a well-worked goal. And lucky, fortuitous that it fell to her, but she took it really well. And Saketa, there wasn't really much she could do. An outstretched arm, I don't think she was going to reach that.
This is just her 8th appearance of the year, Jessica Young. She didn't make her return, I believe, from injury until May. She has 2 goals already. And that one was very easy on the eye from the former South Melbourne and NTC player. Another who can do the job both in attack and sometimes in defence if required. Burn for Cortolino. Good first touch to free herself. The second not quite so. And Leakopoulos can pick up the loose ball from her fellow former or FV emerging alumnus. Markovski. Good challenge by Leakopoulos. Holla slips it into the path of Correa Aquino. The foot race on between her and Mila Bulic. And it's another NTC product who does very well in defence that time. Turning to former teammate Anna Leakopoulos and saying, well, anything you can do, I reckon I can do it better. So Bulleen Lions in cruise control. If you're just joining us here at the Veneto Club for Saturday afternoon round 4 action, Aquino trying to give them something to think about, launches it into the air, and Rutkowski always second best to pluck it out of the afternoon air. Little for Young, the most recent goal scorer, and what a finish it was from Jess Young, and what a pass that is for Caitlin O'Brien. The Boroondara defence cut to ribbons, but O'Brien couldn't make it. 2 goals in as many games. Just lacking a bit of purchase on the effort. And Saketa with a comfortable, albeit a touch of, I don't know if unconviction, I don't think is a word, but I'm pretty sure you know what I mean when I say it.
I think the term you're looking for is lacked conviction. But I've got to say, got to give a lot of credit to Caitlin O'Brien there. She saw that ball was going to no one in particular, and then she made that run late herself to collect it. And that's the kind of effort that you want from your wingers and not giving up on the ball. But she's having a good last 2 games, Caitlin O'Brien.
You mean to tell me that you don't think that was an intentional line breaker? Oh, here I was giving too much credit to Jessica Young for the ball splitting defence. And here she is, Jessica Young. Always finding a losing battle to trap that one. Dropped at a difficult angle. Aquino helps it on its way to Holler, who just lost it in motion. Gertz with a good win in the second phase. That pattern repeats once more. Every time they get it in and around the Bulleen back 4, one of them is able to repel. And I say, Pakura, Aroha Little is having a very solid game, I think, at left full back so far. I mean, there hasn't been a lot to do for the Bulleen defence, but in terms of helping maybe to construct those attacks out from the back, she's been involved quite heavily.
She's a player that is always consistent, and I think that's one of the hallmarks of her game. A benefit to her is when you put her in, if you're Caitlin Friend, you're going through some injuries at the moment, I'm going to start her a little, and she's always there, always going to give you a solid performance, and I think she's improved her game, particularly from last season as well. But I think when she's been called upon with 1 minute added on in this first half, I think she's been really good.
Cortolino. Caitlin Friend urging her side to retain possession, which is what they do. Hoping to pick the gap in the, less than now, 60 seconds of first half stoppage that remain. And they won't do so. Zoe Bennett slips it to Curtis. Leakopoulos. It's a hot football for Curtis, but it was a great touch to buy herself a bit of time and space. And so Boroondara released on the near side through Bennett. Yasevsky has come across to the broadcast side wing, and she'll drive at Maldiri. The final action of the first half sees Yasevsky score a cracker. Well, what a way to get Boroondara Eagles back in the game. That's the goal they needed as we head towards the halftime break. It has been all one-way traffic so far, but Anais Yasevsky, the quality of player that she is, only needs a moment, and it was pure perfection off the right boot.
And that is why she's got 8 goals to her name this season. She's been lethal for Boroondara, but what a fantastic effort to beat Maldiri, and then the confidence with that strike. There was nothing Erin Hudson can do, but that is exactly what you want if you're John Kyrgios. A goal late in this first half, something positive to talk about at the halftime break. But Anais Yasevsky, what a fantastic finish.
We've had 2 brilliant goals in quick succession. Could there be another? Surely not in this first half. Well, play continues for mere seconds as Angelique Mangin brings this first half, an entertaining first half. We expect nothing less from games that involve Boroondara Eagles. It hasn't quite been their way by any stretch of the imagination, but a confidence-boosting goal right at the end of the half, bookending an opening 45 minutes that saw 4 goals, and 2 of them inside the first 10 minutes. Alana Byrne getting this team going very early, much like the first meeting between these two sides where Maya Markovsky scored after 3 minutes. Alana Byrne just about had her caught for pace in the return fixture, but Markovsky not to be denied. She added a second, and when Jessica Young came up with goal number 3 to make it 3 goals unanswered for the home side, you were almost putting a line through the contest. But Anais Yasevsky, a goal to save her, and a goal that leaves Caitlin Friend with just a fraction to think about Pakua Frimpong as we head into the halftime interval. The hope is still alive for Boroondara Eagles because we know they can score goals in volume and potentially get back into this game.
If any side was looking at this going, we can make a comeback, that would be Boroondara. They've got goals aplenty in their side, and they'll have all to do after this halftime break. But we will take a break here at the Veneto Club and be back for more action between the Bulleen Lions and Boroondara Eagles for the second half.
How are you today? Good, thank you. Yep. The Veneto Club. Beautiful weather here in winter time. Not much wind to speak of, but it is cold.
It is cold. I would agree.
It is very cold.
It's very, very cold. It's always cold at the ven.
All good? Cool.
Perfect.
Sweet.
Sweet thing.
A big 45 minutes awaits at the Veneto Club. FC Bulleen Lions sitting pretty after 45 minutes played in round 14. 3-1 they lead against Boroondara Eagles in something of a local derby. They got the scoring started early. They took the lead through Alana Byrne. Maya Markovski doubled their advantage in style. Jessica Young, with her second of the season, looked like she'd put the result beyond doubt, but Boroondara found reason to believe, hope, if you'll allow me to say, right before the half-time interval. Anais Yosefsky scoring what was probably the goal of the day to get Boroondara Eagles back within the window of opportunity of a comeback in this game, but it is still very much advantage to the home side, who have made a monumental change. They're one of a couple at half-time, but the big substitute is none other than number 18 for FC Bulleen Lions. Welcome back to the Veneto Club for Tiff Eliadis, who is playing her first Bulleen Lions game since the 18th of August 2023. That was a 3-0 win against Southern United. And there are 3 goals in the back of the net so far here, and a few questions of an early free kick, and they're going to be heeded by the referee. So welcome back to Tiff Eliadis, and 2 subs have come onto the field as well for Boroondara Eagles. Angeliki Hudalis and Maria Patrikas both enter the field of play. So John Kyrgios hoping to seize on, I guess, not quite out-and-out momentum they've created from that late goal, but certainly helped to sustain it with some fresh legs, as Rosie Roger was the player who made way for the returning Tiff Eliadis. Of course, of both FC Bulleen Lions and Melbourne Victory fame, but she's been in Portugal, most recently playing in the top division there with Atletico Ourense. And just to round out those all the changes at the station at half-time, Ellen Turner is the other player who's come off as we await this free kick from Maya Markovski. She came close a few weeks ago against Alamein from a similar sort of position, but this one is straight into the wall. The follow-up is drilled in from range. Another great goal. 4 on the board for Bulleen Lions. And Maya Markovski with a brace. 11 for the season. Oh, she is coming for the crown when it comes to the Golden Boot race.
A fantastic finish there from Maya Markovski, playing with a lot of confidence, the player. And that was calmly taken on a second effort.
Well, I think Maya Markovski could see the funny side of it, because there was a wry smile as the free kick, the initial effort was probably not her best, but the follow-up was a far more tantalising result, as Erin Hudson with a confident take in the air. And gee, that will be a bitter pill to swallow, Pakua, for John Kyrgios and this Boroondara side. They've just got themselves something to reinstate the belief right before the break, and within minutes of play restarting in the second half, they find themselves 3 goals down once again. And Markovski is really playing in the mood at the moment. She's on a hat-trick now, of course. Cordolino couldn't find clean passage through the left-hand side of the Bulleen attack. Markovski, clever couple of touches and feeds Young. Wheels around, back onto the right. Byrne. There's Hollar ready and waiting to steal possession off her shoulders, and there's Tiff Eliadis getting her first touch. And her return for FC Bulleen Lions. O'Brien towards the byline, and a corner ball for the hosts. So Jessica Young, who scored the third of FC Bulleen Lions' 4 goals, is going to be back on corner duties, and Angelique Manchin, the referee, has had to take a brief leave of absence from the main crime scene because she, I think, dropped her cards for Kua.
Exactly. Does that mean if she dropped the card there's no yellow cards able to be given out.
Yeah, well, whoever did something bad then got away with it as Eliadis gets up when the ball is cleared off the line. Oh, Boroondara so close to copping a 5th. And it was an incident of their own making. Kiki Hundalis nearly turning the ball into her own net, Procure, and that would have been a not quite the impact substitute that John Kyrgios would have been hoping for.
No, that's not the way you want to start it, but that great clearance off the line. But another warning sign for Bulleen. For Boroondara, they need to be careful here.
Another threatening ball, and after a couple of nibbles at it, Saketa able to bring it under her control. She has had a tough day at the office, to say the least. And the goal she has conceded, she hasn't been left with a lot to do about any of them. There have been some very good finishes from the Bulleen Lions attack today.
No, they have, bar maybe the first one early on. I think the rest have been relatively, great finishes as opposed to, a poor effort on her end. Obviously, only her 3rd game with this Boroondara side. Their starting keeper, Mia Mossman, out with the MCL tear. Hopefully should be back within the next month, but for now, Malay Saketa will be in goals for Boroondara, and they obviously had Annalia Koplis there as well, and then Elsa Sosa from the under-21s, I believe, was also in goals for them at some point this season. So that's been a tricky position for John Kyrgios.
Corner after corner after corner for Bulleen. Will they find some profit? Holla able to head it away. O'Brien keeps it alive, and at full stretch, it's Rakowski who repels. Gertz, the experienced midfielder, with a searching ball, one which Aquino wasn't able to latch onto. Good defensive work by Mila Bulic. Hasn't scored, the defender, since her Bulleen Lions debut, the opening round of the season. I must say, the graduating class of FV Emerging from 2023 has given some seriously promising talent to the rest of the league. I mean, I know they always do that. That's the job of the FV Emerging project. But you look across the 11s for both sides, and you've got Mila Bulic, Annalia Koplis for Boroondara Eagles, and of course Alana Cordolino too. The NTC, the gift that keeps on giving for the top of the pile in NPLW.
And long may it continue. We do love to see a great emerging class, but you've also got to say, for FV Emerging, another good group as well as Cordolino. Almost gets past there, but Leah Koplis. But yeah, another, that group that you mentioned, Lockie, we're following after a group that had Sarah Kane, a gold medal winner the season prior. So, and then another good season once again for FV Emerging this year. So that's what we love to see.
Great run by Cardellino, but a good block by the FV Emerging cohort that we're just speaking about, going head to head, and it's Leah Koplis who got in the way of Cordellino's goal-bound effort. You do wonder what is running through the mind of John Kyrgios at the moment. His side weathering a storm. The corner ball in. Markowski gets up. That's the hat-trick for Maya Markowski. And it is a bag of 3 of the finest quality from the former Victory attacker. It's a goal fest for Bulleen, a goal fest for Maya Markowski, and that is a hat-trick she well and truly deserves today.
I'm not going to lie, Oscar. I just called you Oscar. I'm so sorry. Oscar is our cameraman. You are Lockie Flanagan. But I was speaking to Maya Markowski ahead of this game, and she joked that she may score a hat-trick today, and she's certainly done that. And they've been 3 fantastic goals, an effort from her. And we've mentioned it a lot throughout the broadcast, but you just can't you can't say too much about how good she's been this season for this Bulleen side. And long may it continue for her performance.
Bulleen can't celebrate for too long here, though, as Aquino ambles towards goal, but good use of the body by Alana Byrne. Curtis keeps it alive for the Eagles, and she's going to wind up from distance. Eliadis in the right place at the right time. But Maya Markovsky, in one fell swoop, has put herself into outright second in the Golden Boot race. The only player with more to her name is the player who we just saw header that ball, Aquino, across for Gertz, who lets rip, and another cracker here at the Ven. Well, we knew goals were coming today, and it has not let us down. Hayley Gertz with the pick of the bunch. And it may end up being a consolatory one at the end of the 90 minutes, but it will be one to savour for Hayley Gertz, who she doesn't score very often, but when she does, they are absolute corkers.
That is a fantastic finish, and whoever's picking goal of the week this season for the NPL, I guess they'll just have to look and watch this game only and try and figure it out. If we see more spectacular goals across the competition, fantastic, but we've seen some really great finishes, and both the goals from Boroondara have been absolute worldies.
And unbelievably, incredibly, after 55 minutes played, we have 7 goals at the Ven. Again, a goal fest was not hard to forecast, given the recent form of Boroondara Eagles, both in attack and in defence, mind you. But 7 goals, perhaps exceeding our expectations, maybe even.
Just slightly. I've got to say, Lockie, this game, it was either going to be absolutely dry, only 1 goal maybe scored, or it was going to be a astronomical amount of goals scored in this game. These sides don't know how to do the middle. They either do one of the extremes.
No, not doing anything in half measures, and Maya Markovsky certainly hasn't today. She swings it in. Saketa just guides it into the turf to take some of the sting out of the ball, but that was a delightful run in the lead-up from Markovsky. He was playing with an oozing confidence at the moment. It has been such a delight to watch. And her first hat-trick of the season as well. She just wasn't able to quite get on the same wavelength as Jessica Young that time around. She scored bags of 2 twice before this year against Bentley Greens and Calder United, but this is the first time that she has 3 to her name. And it's not quite a perfect hat-trick, because I think both of the shots were off the right boot, but I think she'll be quite pleased about the fact that the third of those was a header.
Semantics, Lockie, semantics.
Despite I guess not perfect in the technical sense, but I think in terms of the quality of the goals, it pretty much has been. But despite her size and stature, Maya Markovsky, we don't always see her as I think maybe to say not a willing participant in the air is harsh, but despite her stature, it's not always her strong point. So to get that headed goal to seal the hat-trick, I reckon she'll be absolutely delighted.
Yeah, it's one of those areas in her game that, she just had to work on in recent seasons. And, when you're so good in front of, being so good in front of goal this year, if you're Maya Markovsky with your feet, scoring a few goals with your head as well, it's great for the tape and great to show, I have improved my game. I've done X, Y, and Z to get better, and she certainly has. And this Bulleen side, after, relatively disappointing performances in recent weeks, they'd be really impressed with this performance. Obviously, the game's not done yet, but from what we've seen these 57 minutes of the contest, a fantastic performance all around.
Yeah, I'm not getting any suggestion here that the goal scoring is stopping at number 7. Maldiri stopped in her tracks by Cicely Paraskevas. And look, the question we were sort of discussing at half-time, Pakua, relating to Maya Markovsky, who somehow manages to come up with the ball there and somehow still has it. Not too sure how. A great feed for Cordellino. Numbers in the middle. Eliadis is there, and she was a fraction away from a goal on her Bulleen Lions return.
Oh, so close, Lockie, to getting that into the top corner. We've seen some great goals in this game, and Eliadis wanted to join the party, but I think you may be right, Lockie. I think we're going to see a few more chances at goal and maybe a few more on the scoreboard as well.
It's been a first goal in Bulleen colours for Tiff Eliadis since the 22nd of July last year against Alamein. One of her many in this competition, but it allows me the restart to return to this point Although Bulleen are not giving us a lot of chance to talk topics at the moment because the football's being played at a breakneck pace. DeHarkis over the head of Markovski. Second ball breaks for Tiff Eliadis. Cordolino. Sizing up the path forward. Great run. Cordolino's cross is blocked by Analiakopoulos. Kept alive by Eliadis, and the shot on the turn is tipped away by Siketa. Jessica Young. You can question, I think, maybe whether or not it required saving, but safety first, the decision from Mally Siketa.
Of course, when, 5-2, that is still, not fully out of reach, so, don't never know if the ball will spin. It did look like it was going wide, but, as you mentioned, Lockie, it's all about safety first.
Markovski, the looming target from the corner ball, and it is near Maya Markovski, but no connection with the header this time. O'Brien, a bit of an up and under swing at it. Great first touch from DeHarkis. Good block to match. Young shoots on the left, and it's paddled away, and eventually into the breadbasket by Mally Siketa. Okay, Pakua, while I still have the chance, are we witnessing a season of... We've been talking about our A-League women's prospects throughout this 90 minutes, Pakua, but are we witnessing in real time the season that sends Maya Markovski back to the A-League women's? Because, the goals are one thing, but these sort of things we haven't seen from her before, as Cordolino is in behind, but puts her effort right at the keeper.
Lockie, it's enough, man. That back heel, we're getting audacious at this point. That's... Maya Markovski's always been a very techie player.
The thing is that almost speaks, illustrates perfectly the point we're trying to make, which we knew she could score goals. She's been doing that for years and years, both here in NPL New South Wales as well. But it's these
we don't mention that other.
No, of course. But it's these other elements of her game that are really coming to the fore in this 2024 campaign. The setup play, but also just I think a general increased athleticism and a willingness to carry the ball.
Yeah, and I think Maya Markovski, the thing that I've always wanted from her game when watching is her ability to play better with her, teammates. As a number 9, she needed to hold the play up as Cordolino, this ball's out wide, gets past one. Eliadis on the edge of the box. And Young not able to calmly collect it, but as I was saying, Lockie, her ability to feed off other teammates was something that just needed to get a little bit better in her game, but she's improved that this season, and I think playing with the likes of Cordolino, who are willing runners, and playing with Yuka Sato, particularly at the start of the season, who was able to find her, and I think Maya Markovski, you can't say enough. I think, to work hard in the off-season to get yourself into a place where you're at another level, as this ball's played beautifully out wide to Cordolino. Can she cut back on the inside? That's where she wants to go, does, but loses the ball along the way. But yeah, just got to say, Maya Markovski, fantastic. And I think, Lockie, we may be seeing that. I'm not quite sure, there are a few A-League women's clubs that need a striker. Maybe Melbourne Victory. Could that door be open once again? Will Emily Gilnick come back? Will Correa Aquino come back? But Maya Markovski, I think she's doing all the right things at the moment.
Well, it's maybe not an apples to apples comparison, but if you're looking for that, I guess that, second banana striker spot, we basically have the two of the potential options here in Markovski returning to Victory or Aquino. And if this was the audition, Markovski would be smashing it by comparison.
Do you ever audition for anything, Lockie, before in your life?
Well, if I ever have, I'm not doing it as impressively as Markovski is today, that's for sure.
Do you know what I would love to see out of this game? We've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of goals. We've seen some great play from a lot of players, but if we could just line up at halfway, Anais Shashevsky and Alana Cordolino for just a quick foot race, I'd love to see who was quicker out of the two. I think if we could do that after the game, leave the cameras on, that's what I would love to see.
Gertz with a great ball for Aquino. Marshalled really well by Leah Maldiri. Cordolino left their pass short. A clever turn by Curtis. But a good interception to match from Dahakis. And great supply from Tiff Eliadis. O'Brien, the lone hand. There are a few numbers on her left shoulder, but stood up nicely in defence by Kiki Hundalis. The quick throw taken to Markovski, who is round one with ease. Round another. Can she get the shot off Maya Markovski? Turns provider. Cordolino. Back to Markovski. The first time strike is watched all the way by Mali Siketa. I don't throw this around liberally, and we're going to have to talk about some other players too, but Maya Markovski, cooking.
Absolutely.
Well and truly cooking.
Chefing it up. Chefing it up.
It's been a joy to watch, as is this game, which has given us 7 goals so far. 5 for FC Bulleen Lions, 2 from Boroondara, and it's very weird that you concede 5 goals, but you probably score the 2 best ones of the day.
Yeah, they probably have been.
That's what Boroondara have arguably done. What Bulleen have definitely done, as we get into the 66th minute here at the Veneto Club, has made a sub. Pakua, do you want to fill us in on the change? Yeah,
young Nia Saleh has come in replacement of, I believe, Caitlin O'Brien, who's had a good performance. So it hasn't had too much, obviously a lot of attacking, but it's been funneled mainly through Maya Markovski, but Caitlin O'Brien off to the bench, and Nia Saleh, a good player to bring in.
And she would have been hoping to get straight in on the act as Cordolino was stopped in her tracks by Madison Van Doren, a first half substitute for Boroondara Eagles after the injury for Venetia Lim. It's been so much fun watching Tiff Eliadis' second half of this game. The A-League women's quality players slowly filtering back into the league, and I feel like we're set up for a really exciting end to this season with some of the talents that have been re-injected back into the fold. I mean, we've had news, Pakua, from across the grounds that Leah Davidson of Melbourne City and Grand Final Premiership fame is at Bentley.
And of Preston.
Preston fame, of course, too.
Earlier this season.
And that is a big switch. Byrne buys a yard. Good challenge by Curtis. Aquino lost the ball under her studs.
I've got to say that, I know obviously we've got our game going on here, but that Leah Davidson in for Bentley, it's a big indicator of Bentley Greens as a team and as a club saying we want to stay in the NPL Victoria. We aren't going to surrender easily because they've brought in the likes of Helena Arrington, Melissa Barbieri as well, and now Leah Davidson. So, and they're up against FV Emerging, who they lost to earlier in the season. So that's, I really got to say, something I've been really enjoying a lot in the NPL Victoria Women's competition this year is how competitive it's been and how many sides are really investing in their women's program, and 2 sides here that continually do that and continually recruit really well. So that's what we enjoy to see, but that bottom 3 at the moment is what it looks like. That race to see who will stay up, I think it's going to be a thrilling one, just as the top 4 is going to be, with the likes of Essendon Royals doing well, Bulleen doing Bulleen things, and you've got South Melbourne and Preston in there as well.
It does throw up an interesting proposition as well for Boroondara Eagles. I mean, we know they've got Correa Aquino back, but they didn't really go last year either ham on picking up any players from the A-League Women's. And do you think we'll see any transfer activity from them? From Boroondara, I should say. Well, that's an up and under clearance. Not an intentional back pass, so perhaps Siketa could have chanced their arm at coming to collect it.
Sure, Lockie. I don't know what I think the issue Boroondara have is I think they have a good defence. They have leaked goals, much like they leaked goals last season in the competition. And that's really the question you've got to ask yourself. What's the difference between last season and this season? Because it's pretty similar in terms of the way they're playing. I don't know who they can bring in that's going to change it. It feels more like they defend sometimes poorly as a unit as opposed to the back line being poor. So what will happen, I'm not quite sure.
Markovski looking to cut it back to Muldeary. Aquino couldn't put it in the lap of Gabby Hollar, and that was a delightful back heel from DeHarkis, who looks like she's playing on easy mode sometimes, the Bulleen captain. And you talk about having the right pieces, Pakua, but those pieces not necessarily clicking together as you'd want. Could you maybe, you know, John Kyrgios has got two of the best strikers in the competition over the past 2 seasons at his disposal, but it just feels like perhaps Gabby Hollar and Correa Aquino are treading on one another's toes a fraction? Slightly,
and the interesting part about it, Lockie, is that Boroondara had to let go of Imani Morlock, the Puerto Rican international, to bring in Correa Aquino because that was another visa spot, so they sacrificed defensively for another attacking option. I think it was probably the right decision because Correa Aquino scored 31 goals in the competition last year, but are they suffering for it now? Maybe. It's hard to tell because, you know, as I mentioned, the issues they had last season as much the issues they've got this season, and, you know, being, you know, high-scoring team but leaking a lot of goals on the other end as well.
Been able to stem the tide in the past 15 to 20 minutes, but it's coming in again. Hollar on defensive duty this time around. And sets a task for Aquino. Muldeary up but not away. A bit more emphatic at the second time of asking. Few with clearances in quick succession. Muldeary was better with the ball at feet, but getting stuck under hers was Alana Cortolino, who, almost surprising that she, with 5 goals on the board for Bulleen, hasn't got in on the act just yet. There is, of course, still plenty of time in this game.
She certainly had a few chances, just hasn't gone her way necessarily in this game, but got to say, a fantastic season for Alana Cortolino. She's electric, such a great player, and a great get for Bulleen. I think Bulleen look a lot different. Obviously, they're still very star-studded, but they've got less A-League women's talent than we've seen in other years. The amount of, you know, appearances in the A-League women's is a lot less, but I think it's probably done them a lot better, able to spread it out and get, you know, players that actually fit the playing style a little bit more and really enhance their game.
Oh, absolutely spellbinding from Markovski. Cortolino, can she get in on the act? Alana Cortolino, the shot is blocked en route. So, in fact, has it taken a double deflection there? A goal kick for Boroondara Eagles. I think they'll be pretty pleased about that. I've lost count of the amount of corners they've had to defend in this second half. And they won't have to concede one here, but it was a closely run thing as they insist, despite that warning shot from Bulleen, playing it out from the back once again.
Look, I didn't pose it as a question, but I'm now going to change my mind as Markovski hunts down Saketa, who would win an on-foot race between Anais Jasewski and Alana Cortolino. I think that would be an excellent competition.
What distance are we talking?
I think just half of the field.
Oh, okay.
So it's really more about acceleration at that point.
Give me a bit of time. I'll have to think about it. We might get a chance for to see Jasewski's pace on display here, and we will again, as that pass was left a little bit short by Araha Little, but Erin Hudson was swift in her intent to deal with the ball. Van Doren, a bit of a hit and hope. And foul given against the Boroondara player, perhaps?
I may have forgotten to mention earlier, Sophia Galetti came on in replacement of Captain Hayley Gertz for Boroondara, so that was another change they made in the game.
She is fighting a losing battle to get the beating of Markovski, who goes from range, and it's off the post. You're running out of superlatives at the Veneto Club. We are witnessing a special performance that was so close to being marked by one of the all-time special NPLW goals.
And I think Siketa did a fantastic effort just to get a hand on it to direct it onto the post, because that was surely in the back of the net from Markovsky. But Lockie, what a game she's had. She's had a fantastic season. And now Saleh away. Saleh cuts back on the inside. Effort on goal. And there is the goal. Markovsky couldn't get it earlier, but actually he's going to have to come back. It was offside. That's disappointing. Put the flag down. Lineswoman, it's unnecessary. Doing a little bit too much there.
I'm not getting involved in that
I don't like it,
commentary
Lockie. I don't like it.
at all. No comment from me, but Nia Saleh will have to wait a fraction longer for her goal off the bench. And Markovsky denied a classy assist as Caitlin Friend enacts another substitution. Jessica Young, who has found the back of the net, leaves the field of play in place of who, Pakua Frimpong?
Well, Chris Kamara, it's Lourdes Gonzalez is on the field. She's come on and been good for them this season. Struggled against Heidelberg earlier in the week, and but I think that's a great player to bring on if you're 3 goals up, Lockie.
Pakua, I want to ask you about Nia Saleh, because she's come off the bench today and she hasn't necessarily set the world on fire, but I've been really impressed in the patches I've seen of her this season, particularly when you consider that last year at FV Emerging, another one of the graduating class, she only made 4 appearances. She played 103 minutes across the entirety of 2023, but Caitlin Ford, wow, that'd be something. Caitlin Friend has really put her faith in the youngster this season, and I don't know. I think she's got something. I
think she's a player with a lot of really good raw talent. I think it's about confidence for her, and confidence and ability. And you mentioned, Lockie, she didn't play a lot of games last season for FV Emerging, and having a couple of sporadic appearances here and there for Bulleen. And I do agree with you. I think she's been good when she's come on. I think the more game time she gets and the more confidence she gets in her ability, I think she's got a lot of promise and can be a really great player in the NPL Victoria competition, even beyond if that's what she aims to do.
She'll be hoping that she can make good on the promise of that offside effort and get one in the back of the net when it will really count. Markovsky has had no such trouble today, but finds a passage forward blocked. Holler lines up from distance, and that is really microcosmic summation of the day that it's been for Gabby Holler in particular, but also to a larger extent Boroondara Eagles. Look, odds on to suffer a 3rd consecutive defeat. It doesn't get any easier next week as well at home to Essendon Royals. Great movement from Saleh, who still is trying to get her goal. A firm block from Madison Van Doren. Eliadis loops it towards Byrne, who just threw her body towards it and hoped for the best, and it worked out very well.
Almost forget that Alana Byrne scored the opening goal of the game so long ago.
It was a very long time ago. DeHarkis, class. Eliadis. Good run from Saleh, but good covering from Leakopoulos, who was fully committed with both mind, body and spirit. Gonzalez to the byline. Markovsky still waiting for goal number 4. It feels weird to say waiting for goal number 4, but it has felt like it's been coming for a while. Yasewski gets the beating of Little, who's going to have to be at full pelt to try and chase her down, but that pass forward for Aquino, just a bit too much oomph behind it. And an interesting game in prospect for Bulleen as well next week, as they look set to secure their 11th win of the campaign. They're travelling to South Melbourne, out to Lakeside.
That's going to be a great game, Lockie.
That will be a fantastic fixture. Be very keen to see how this that South Melbourne central defensive unit is going to go against Maya Markovski as well.
South Melbourne have been in really good form as of late. They are currently struggling with a little bit of an injury crisis. Got a few players, in, out, but they've done well to tread water. Not only tread water, but, put in convincing performances. Obviously, coming off last week, a 4-1 victory against Preston. Obviously, game a lot closer than the scoreline suggested, but for a large portion of that, they were a really good side in that.
Eliadis has pulled the strings since coming on at half-time, but she's fallen victim to the commentator's curse. Van Doren on the march forward, but read by, like a book by Isabel De Harkes. It's been such a great signing this year. De Harkes, one of the pickups of 2024. And Alana Cordolino arguably not far behind. Witkowski did enough to leave Cordolino with something to think about. And they're going to resume their battle here as Maldiri comes across in support and continues into the box unopposed. Markovski twisting, turning, and the shot blocked en route. Well, time is starting to become our enemy, but if you were a betting person, Pakua, you might still be chucking a small sum on Markovski for goal number 4.
You might, but always practice safe gambling, please. Look after your money, guys.
Absolutely.
But yes,
it wasn't suggesting anything in the contrary. As that cross comes in, Saketa deals with it. I mean, at this point,
as a commentator, I wouldn't do it. But if I had a spare dollar, I would. I might put it on Markovski for the 4th.
Let's do gamble responsibly. But Maya Markovski finding the net has been a pretty safe bet in 2024, and particularly today, where she has scored 3 of the best. Not the 3 best, though. Probably
2 might have to go to the Boroondara goals.
Yeah,
very, very good.
I would say Markovski is probably...
Markovski's first goal was pretty phenomenal.
It's maybe 3rd, the bronze medal finisher.
She's got 3 goals, that's all that matters.
That's true. That is true. Curtis for Van Doren. If they score here, it'll make for an interesting finish. And they won't score there with an effort like that. It just feels as though there is a bit of work to do in the next couple of weeks for John Kyrgios, as they look to really dial in that balance up top between Aquino and Holler. Neither of them have had the ideal day today, and it's worth mentioning as well, actually, that Gabby Holler has only, by my count, been kept scoreless twice this season. 9 minutes plus stoppage notwithstanding, she's about to be kept scoreless again today. Bulleen have done it twice.
And that is...
Is there something in there?
I think there's certainly something in that in terms of Bulleen being one of those sides that have got great centre-backs who are able to... Because something about Holler and Aquino's game is they're quite physical players. And I think that Holler does a great effort of imposing her will in a lot of those one-on-one contests to get around it. But Bulleen, up against the likes of De Harkes and Bullich, who aren't easily bumped off, I think it proves to be a particular type of challenge that maybe Holler, if she's not getting the right service, isn't able to overcome.
The Boroondara Eagles bring the squeeze. Hudson lumps it upfield. And the spillage falls kindly for Gonzalez. That looked to have come off a hand, and indeed it did. Sophia Galetti not best pleased, but referee's decision final. Would De Harkes be someone that falls victim to the same problem Gabby Holler might have if an A-League women's club comes a-calling? Because she is also one of the best players of NPLW in season 2024, but occupies a visa spot.
Yeah, I think that the visa spot in the A-League women's will always be something that just kind of, makes teams just pause, even though it's a great player. I think.
Sorry, that was a very good catch from John Kyrgios on the bench.
It's an athlete right there. It's an athlete.
Absolutely clunked it.
We're going to see another substitution here as Caitlin Storey is going to make her way on. I believe we've also seen... Just trying to see who else has come on.
It was Betty Michael coming on for Alana Cortolino. Feel free to correct me if my eyes are deceiving me.
No, I do think I see a number 22 walking along that bench, as well as Alana Byrne as well. Headed to the bench as well. Scored the opening goal of this contest.
Bad 2 minutes to be an Alana, I guess. It was a great 90 minutes to be an Alana from Heidelberg United. Doesn't that defeat to the Burgers on Monday feel like an eternity ago now?
I will say, Alana is a name that can be spelled multiple ways. And
it's true.
They've got two Alanas spelled the exact same way.
That's right. That is a great observation, actually. Salia, that's a great turn. Gonzalez, close by in support, will instead elect for the favourable option, if today's performance is anything to go by, of dishing it off to Markovski, who nearly had it through the legs of Paraskevas. Aquino, rather it was Kiki Hundalis who got in the way of Markovski. A bit casual from Eliadis, launched forward by Storey, and it sits up perfectly for Nia Saleh. Across comes Leah Kopoulos, and she comes through with a very solid challenge. Yosefsky nearly pulled it off against Tiff Eliadis. To be a grab of the shirt as well, but play continues, an advantage paid by the referee. Michael, great first touch to buy herself some free passage. The cross into the middle, Markovski, will it be 4? It'll be a penalty, and that may be a big chance for 4 for Maya Markovski.
It was, and she took that well. The initial turn was done really well and just forced the issue and forced the foul. And she's got such long legs, it's really hard to get around her, Maya Markovski, as she lines up. And she does love to take a penalty. Done it a few times for Melbourne Victory, slotted them away. Can she do it again this afternoon?
Well, only 3 players in FC Bulleen Lions history have scored 4 goals in a single game. One of them is Maya Markovski's coach, Caitlin Friend, in a 10-0 win against Southern United in 2018. Markovski for a place in the history books. 4 of the best from Maya Markovski. Wow. Simply
astounding. A fantastic performance this afternoon from Maya Markovski. Set out on a mission to get on the score sheet, and she's done it 4 times. That was a fantastic penalty, and I've seen some really good penalties as of late in the NPL Victoria Women's competition. And maybe everybody's practicing it, but Maya Markovski at the moment is at 13, standing tied now with Gabby Holler up the top.
It's 13. 13. Sorry, I shouldn't make an AFL reference. That's inappropriate. Caitlin Friend on the 27th of May 2018. 4 goals in a 10-0 win against Southern United. Mel Camilleri, 2nd of March 2019. 4 goals in a 10-0 win against Southern United. Margot Rabin, 14th of July 2019. 4 goals in a 9-0 win against Southern United.
Yeah,
so not only
United,
is Maya Markovski the first player for Bulleen in 5 years to score 4 goals in a single game, which is the 3rd player ever to do it. She's the first to not do it against Southern United, which also is worthy of some credit. But mark that one down in your calendars. The 22nd of June 2024, the day Maya Markovski became just the 4th player in the history of Bulleen Lions in the NPLW to score 4. And she could still get 5, which would be an outright record.
If we did gamble, Lockie, we would have got $2 back. Or maybe we would have actually lost some money there. I think they would have shortened those odds.
To be fair, they probably would have closed the markets after the hat-trick.
That is off the board. You cannot get that one. But no, she's been spectacular, Maya Markovski. And Margaret being there as well, Lookie, formerly of Boroondara last season. And that's, I think, a player that Boroondara may be missing a little bit, her creativity going forward and so much experience. I think they would like to have Margaret Bean back. But
also just her penchant for coming up with a goal when you need it. One of the good things about this Boroondara side is, and I think particularly last year, is they had no trouble finding very high quality goals when they actually needed them, and Rabin did that on multiple occasions. Storey, another similarly experienced head to Rabin in NPLW Victoria. 6-2 for FC Bulleen Lions today. Yosefsky on the hop. Returns the favour, does Correa Aquino. And they're having a little game between themselves. And now Galletti is brought into the action. Holla, it's just past her reach. 6-3. We've had some crazy scorelines in NPLW Victoria this season. 6-3 would be a
6-3.
one for the ages. 6-2 is still pretty good, mind you.
It is pretty good. Yeah, not
It's been an entertaining day of football if you've been sat at home on the couch or, I don't know, watching on the train on your iPhone. You can watch it. You can watch NPL Victoria YouTube a lot of ways these days. Maybe you've got it, I don't know.
And if you've chosen to watch with us, we appreciate it. There are a lot of games happening at the exact same time today.
That is
I
true.
would personally do a split screen because that's, the type of dedication I have for this competition. And that is a serious knock there on Correa Aquino.
Correa Aquino is holding on to her nose for dear life. I hope it's maybe just a blood nose or a stiff knock and nothing too serious.
She's wants to get the game going. We've seen a lot of facial injuries in the world of sports recently. We've seen Kylian Mbappe, broken nose at the Euros. We've also seen your Boston Celtics, Derek White, had to do some dentistry. Hopefully Correa Aquino doesn't need to do that as well. Tough cookie, is ready to go.
We saw as the fourth official adds 3 minutes on to this game, Kylian Mbappe wheel out a colour-coded, a France-coloured face mask. Purple and black Correa Aquino face mask. Maybe even with, how the players put the little... They put the little... Oh, I'm not going to say that.
No, Waluigi.
You know how the players put the little flags on their boots sometimes?
Yes.
How good look, purple and black, half and half. A little Japanese flag in the corner for Correa Aquino. I reckon that'd be pretty sick. It's almost a merch idea for... I'm not telling the Boroondara Eagles what to do.
Geniuses right here.
What are we doing commentating football? We should be...
But I will say, though, I know I don't know why you had such a negative reaction to Waluigi, an iconic character.
Oh, Markowski, she couldn't, could she? Well, she won't this time. There's an empty net for Betty Michael, and she fires wide.
From our angle, I thought it gone into the back of the net. It's just wide of that, and just some miscommunication there defensively with the keeper.
Betty Michael hasn't scored since signing from South Melbourne in 2024, and that was arguably her best chance of the season to do so. The goal was totally unguarded, and it was only the thwack of the ball against the Marchetti advertising hoarding behind the goal that made it clear from this angle that it hadn't gone in, and the lack of movement from the net, of course. But the ladder leaders are back on the board in style here at the Veneto Club. The only question is whether they'll find a seventh goal in the stoppage time that remains. Maldiri in no hurry to add to the tally. Gonzalez, hot football, and Maldiri couldn't retreat in time to keep it a Bulleen ball. Aquino for Holla. Good link up between the two strikers as Holla lets fly. And she was not far away from another collector's item for the afternoon.
Could you imagine 3 collector's items for Boroondara and you lose 6-3? That'd be unfortunate. As Holla tries to not make it 3 games going scoreless.
If you win the ball here, if Betty Michael can chase this down, Maya Markowski is still a chance. We don't barrack in this caper, but it would be quite a sight to see. 5 goals in a single game. Maldiri, Gonzalez buying a yard on the edge of the box and diving down to her right, and coming up with the stop was Mally Saketa, and that may be the final action of the afternoon. All eyes now on Angelique Mangin. It is the final act of the afternoon as the ladder leaders return to winning ways with a statement win, 6-2 against Boroondara Eagles in a game that did not disappoint for all except those of a Boroondara persuasion. And it certainly didn't disappoint for Maya Markowski. 4 goals in a single game, just the 4th player in NPLW Victoria history to make that mark for FC Bulleen Lions. There are, of course, plenty of other names on the score sheet as well. Let's not forget that Alana Byrne was the player who got us going after 3 minutes. Of course, Jessica Young made it 3-0, and just as the game sort of seemed done as a contest in that point, Anais Yasevsky pulled one back, but then the Markovsky show continued into the second half. Hayley Gertz scored what was arguably the goal of the day to make it 5-2, but Markovsky from the penalty spot sealed the deal. 4 of the best from her, 6 of the best from Bulleen, and a sweet, sweet 3 points here at the Ven Pakua Frimpong. It
is a sweet 3 points, Lockie, and much needed for Bulleen, obviously. It's weird to say that for a side sitting at the top of the table, but Essendon Royals were hot on their tails, and they needed a statement performance after some disappointing performances in recent weeks. For Boroondara, they keeping on, but unfortunately for them, this loss just keeps them a little bit further away from a top 4, or even a top 5 if you include a Heidelberg in that race as well. They need to find, you know, some 3 points relatively soon if they want any chance of making it back to the finals again. But Lockie, it's been fantastic to be with you in the booth. Really, do I get to commentate with another person? It's been good to commentate with you.
I'm sorry that one of the rare occasions you get to commentate with a person. I am the person, but it's been good fun, and we hope you've enjoyed it at home. If you've been watching on NPL Victoria YouTube, it's been hard not to enjoy an 8-goal game for your Saturday afternoon, particularly with goals as good as the ones we saw today. It all sets up perfectly for a massive clash for Bulleen Lions next week when they travel to Lakeside to face South Melbourne. Boroondara will look to arrest this 3-game losing run next week as well. But until then, we'll sign off from another thrilling game at the Veneto Club. From myself, Lockie Flanagan, and from Pakua Frimpong, it's goodbye for now. The final score here at the Veneto Club, FC Bulleen Lions 6, Boroondara Eagles 2.